Hey guys, welcome back for another episode of the Crypto Forecast, and I'm going to be looking at the price of Bitcoin BTC USD from Bitstamp as usual. I'm going to be doing technical analysis on the altcoins at some point, just not yet. I think the interest is still in BTC. The Bitcoin dominance still going sideways, so people are still not all that interested in the altcoins, even though they are at very low levels. But yeah, I'm not going to waste time doing technical analysis on the altcoins when I know they're not going to get, my videos are not going to get any views. So for the time being, I'm going to continue to concentrate on Bitcoin BTC for YouTube, but it's not going to last forever. All right, so I have the monthly candles here. I have something important to point out in each time frame today. That's why I'm going to run through all the time frames. And for the monthly time frame, what I want to point out here, the most important part is that the price is very clearly, at least so far, bouncing on the 20 period moving average, which is the red moving average here. So far we're having a bounce, and what I am expecting here, it's not to like have a bounce now, start to go up for the coming months, but I expect more of a sideways movement holding above the 20 period moving average, which is exactly what I was saying about the weekly time frame for the 20-week moving average before we actually broke below it. I was expecting the price to not bounce straight away on the 20 period moving average, but more like holding, above it until there's enough buyers in the market to push the price up. So something like in this period here, you see this was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 months here just going sideways on a monthly time frame before actually bouncing and pushing the price up. So I'm expecting the price to just stay and hold above the 20 period moving average until there's enough buyers to push the price up in the future. I don't know how long, but I would expect that at least for the next, couple of months. We will have to take it candle by candle, but that's what I'm expecting on a monthly time frame, to just go sideways. But of course, guys, these are the monthly candles. This candle here, the high was $10,035 and the low is $7,300. So this is like a 30% swing here in one single candle, which if you look at it from far, it looks sideways, but it's actually a 30% swing in this single candle here. So when I say sideways in a monthly time frame, the swings can be quite violent. But this is what I have for the monthly time frame. Let's move on to the weekly. On the weekly time frame, I want to point out how oversold it's been on the RSI, the stochastic RSI here. It's been in the oversold territory here for way longer than usual. This is an anomaly. If you see here, it entered the oversold area the 26th of August, and now today is 25th of November. So this is 3 months on the oversold. I mean, it went, it exited the oversold area here for a minute, and now it's back down to the oversold area. It's usually not normal to be oversold for that long. It only happens like in the initial part of the crash after the parabolic bubble. It happened here. It was oversold for a very long time, but that's more expected because we're crashing from the very top of the bubble, right? But usually if you look at through history, this only happens after it crashes from the top of the bubble, that it's oversold for this long. It's not normal really to be oversold for this long, so I have no other choice but to keep calling it in the upside. Like, it has to bounce. It doesn't have to bounce, but it's most likely it's going to bounce because it's just really not normal that it's oversold for all this time. Especially I cannot continue to call it in the downside after such capitulation candle with such low selling volume here. And also it seems we are bouncing on the 100 and also on the 50 period moving average in this time frame. So even if this was going to be a dead cat bounce, in the worst case scenario, that, yeah, we make lower lows in the future, maybe, but for the time being, I think this thing has to bounce. It has to balance a little bit. It's just way too oversold. Let's go to the daily. All right, so now we are on the daily. Let's activate my lines here. And you can see we are still inside this downwards channel. I released an update for premium members on my website when the price was actually outside, breaking below this downwards channel. Actually, let me show you the update here. This is from the 25th of November, a few days ago. Today is 29. So you can see here the price was breaking below this channel. And what I said here is currently below the descending channel, but I think it will close above it and bounce. It's just been too oversold for too many days. I'm buying this dip. And guys, when I say I'm buying this dip, I usually never buy because I already earn crypto on a daily basis, so I usually don't need to buy. When I say I buy, like, it's very rare that I say I'm actually using fiat to buy crypto, is because I think it's really, really, really like extremely oversold. And also because I believe we are in a bull market for the whole 2019. I believe we have been and continue to be in a bull market. If I believed that we are in a bear market, I wouldn't be buying the dip. Even if I thought it was oversold for the short term. I don't buy dips during bear markets. I only sell the rallies. But because I believe to be in a bull market, and this is extremely, extremely oversold, I said I'm buying this dip. Even though there's lower targets, if we break the current support with higher volume at some point in the near or medium term future, meaning, okay, now, no matter what, I think we're bouncing, and I think we're bouncing now. But if in the short or medium term, after a dead cat bounce, we break current support, then yes, there's a target at $5,000. So yeah, it's possible, but for the time being, this is just way too oversold. Everybody calling it on the downside when we were at the very bottom. We were at 6,600 or 6,500, and everybody was calling downside continuation after such capitulation, after such low red volume, and everybody calling it down. I'm like, this is gonna bounce. And plus the recent crash here for these past few days already hit the mainstream media news. Not the crypto news, not the news in, Cointelegraph or crypto websites, no, mainstream media. A friend of mine here in Thailand sent me a link to an article from the BangkokPost.com, which is just an online magazine here in Thailand, which has nothing to do with crypto. And they were talking about the recent crash of Bitcoin, and the article was extremely bearish, extremely negative. So once the crash hits the mainstream media, now it's time to bounce. So it was so many factors all at once that made me want to buy this dip. And what happened, that it did bounce here, and it closed, like I was saying, it closed on the daily, it closed above inside the downwards channel, and it continued to bounce since then. If we go into smaller time frames, in the 4-hour time frame, everybody's talking about this. So yeah, you probably know already, we have an inverse head and shoulder here. It did break the neckline with significant volume, so the target is at 8,200. The higher probability is that the target will be made, because this is a textbook pattern. It broke with volume. So it's very high probability, 70% probability, but of course 70% is not 100%. The only way this pattern, or this target, I should say, is going to be invalidated is if the price goes back below the neckline and starts closing below it. Then these targets will be invalidated, and we might see more sideways or even more downside. Right at the bottom here, there was another inverse head and shoulder on a very, very small time frame. You could see it on the 5 minutes, and in the 15 minutes, there was a little inverse head and shoulder, which is a reversal pattern. I posted that on Twitter, actually, so follow me on Twitter if you are interested in little updates. You can see here, this is the 5-minute candles. I said textbook textbook inverse head and shoulder with target just below 7K. Let's see if we can break above the neckline with significant volume. And you see the price was at that moment was rejecting from the neckline, but of course when I tweet things or when I release updates, I try to do it with some time in advance so people can, monitor and watch it. There's no point in releasing the update when the movement is already done. So at this point, you see the inverse head and shoulder. At this point, the inverse head and shoulder had no importance whatsoever because we didn't have a break yet, but it was something to watch. If you see a break with significant volume, then this target is activated, and it did break with volume. The target was made. It rejected pretty heavily, but then we saw continuation in the upside. So for the immediate term, we have a target at 8,200 on Bitstamp, and the only way this target is invalidated is if the price starts to go below the neckline, more or less at 7,300, something like that, and starts closing below this price, then this target is invalidated. So for now, this is what I have. Thank you guys very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.